Absolutely unbelievable. And he's posted that they are still working on it.
How much longer do they got to work on it?
I don't know.
I guess
it doesn't look like it's ever going to end.
Yeah, I think
They will never finish it.
I think it's one of those kinds of places. So at the end, we'll talk about a few other things, but that's all I need to say for the intro, right? Okay, great. So are we ready to start?
You already started.
Oh, well,
You got your hat on.
I got my hat on?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay. So today we have a very interesting guest. They're always interesting, but he's going to talk to us about memory, how to improve your memory techniques and things like that. And his name is Harold Mangum. And I was telling Harold that I went to one of these kinds of talks many, many years ago, and I was doing a lot of trade shows. And the person, and I, like many people, have a difficulty remembering people's names. Why? Because we're always interested in saying our name, so we forget the other person's name. So this person had said, when they give you a business card, write on the back some memorable characteristic. So there was this guy that came to our booth, and he gave me his business card, and I wrote on the back, short, fat. And I put the card in my wallet. About half an hour later, he comes back. He said, "Can I have that business card back?" I gave you the wrong card. I have a newer one. So not even thinking, I reached into my pocket, I grabbed the card and I handed it to him. He turned it over. He paused for a second and he said, "You got it right." So at least he had a sense of humor. But it taught me that I really need to work on my memory technique. So a little bit about Harold. Harold Mangum is president of the Memory Technologies Institute, MTI instead of MIT. You should have really figured out how to name it MIT. 34 years of training and development experience in the industry, 27 years he has taught memory training specifically. He's a psychologist, locally educated at the University of Texas, 13 years in the oil and gas industry with ARCO. He was director of training and development in the engineering and operations division, so dealing with hands-on people, I guess. He joined MTI in 1990 as a corporate sales manager, and a year later, they liked him so much, and he was doing so well selling, they decided to make him president, 1991. So he's been doing this for a pretty long time. He's conducted workshops for the general public throughout the U.S. and in-house programs at Fortune 500 companies and associations, including AT&T, TXU, we were just talking about TXU, Sprint, Verizon, Johnson & Johnson, Xerox, Eastman Kodak, New York Life, Shell Oil, Microsoft, and the list goes on. He continues to help train individuals and companies through general workshops and one-on-one settings. I suggest you go to their website. It's pretty interesting. There's a wealth of information there. And without further ado, please welcome Harold Mangum.
I'm sorry you got the large file. It should have been reduced. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
But as I said, my name is Harold Mangum, and I'm with a company called Memory Technology Institute. We like that MIT, that's all I use. But in this memory, obviously, not the kind of computer or hard drive. We've been doing business actually about a little over 30 years now, and we work with all types of professionals, all types of associations, people all over the world on how to develop an instrument we call memory. Things important to you, maybe some sales and service or association meetings, whatever it may be. I'm not here to tell you about sales and service, you know, more than that kind of thing, and I'll never know. But I went through this program myself actually after leaving ARCO, and I had the worst memory in the world. So if it worked for me, it can work for anybody. But if you would today, kind of be thinking about the types of things you normally have to remember on a daily basis. It may be a things to-do list. It may be information about your products or your association. Anything, it could be as easy as a grocery list. Anything you normally have to write down, think about that. And as we talk, I'll show you how the benefits of more powerful memory can help you. Just to give you a little bit of a background on how we got started, we had 4 owners from Connecticut that were invited to work with a group of blind and mentally challenged children right up here in Oklahoma. Now, these children have been blind since birth, being deprived of the human eyesight, which is probably the largest learning mechanism we have. But they have what we call about a 15% teachability index. Now, actually, I was at my stockbroker's office when I left the oil and gas company, and I was trying to reinvest that golden handshake they gave me. And my broker says, "Hey, we have a memory presentation. You might want to sit through it. Do you think about doing some more college work?" And I said, "Gosh, you know, anything." I was such a terrible memory. But I sat through the program. And actually, back then, it was a 3-day program. It was 3 hours per day. We've reduced it now to 7 hours, so 2 nights or a full Saturday. But I was wondering, what do they mean about memory? Because I've been through some of those Dale Carnegie programs, associations. I knew that didn't work. It worked very well for me. But if I were to ask you today what the most important ingredient of all learning is, you'd probably say desire, or paying attention, or listening. But really, it's the memory. So if you had to pick up something in a meeting like this today, you had to go out and apply it this afternoon or tomorrow, and you couldn't remember it, chances are you wouldn't have learned it. Now, these children have been considered learning challenged, but really they were, it was unteachable. But our company had a chance to work with a little over 28 hours. And after 28 hours, which they had a 15% teachability index, and even when I heard that, I thought, well, what is a teachability index? Well, it's the ability to be able to learn. But after 28 hours, they went from like a 15% teachability index to well above 90%. They were excited, the parents, administrators, the doctors, you could about imagine. But that's where our company kind of got started, and we've kind of grown out into the business world since then. But I always tell this story when I get to come out. I don't get to come out as much as I used to. I do a lot of our contract negotiations or back up for our speakers. But I always tell the story really for a couple of reasons. Number one, I think it's a neat story. But the second is most people I've met in the past 30 years have the same question. Why can't I remember where I parked my car at the Galleria Mall? Or where I put my car keys? That kind of thing. But the good news is you all have perfect memories. The only difference is some are trained and some are untrained. But you know how it is. It's like Graham said, you meet someone, you shake their hand, you tell them your name, they tell you their name, and no sooner than the handshake breaks. Oh my gosh, what did you just far off into the sky? Has it happened to you? Be honest. Let me see a show of hands. Anybody drop a name before you? Some of us need 2 hands on that. But there's a good reason for it. Psychologists tell us that the mind is racing ahead so rapidly to think of the next question, what can you do for them, what can they do for you, anything but concentrating on the name. So it's not that you forget the name. You never had it locked in. But when you forget someone's name, it's much more than embarrassing. It could cost you some business, a good relationship, put you pretty far and step behind in the competitive market. But I'm not here to tell you about that thing, but how many of us use some type of techniques to remember, how important people, such as the back of the car, and that was good until you get caught with that, right? Or you use the phone, and the only thing is you drop it in the toilet, when you're in the bathroom, and then what do you do, So, what you want to do is if you ever handle information at your middle fingertips, okay? Now, I had a tough time trying to use my memory because I'm dyslexic. I've transposed information. So if I try to calculate a formula, I can calculate it all day long, but the answers come out wrong. I transpose numbers or letters or whatever. And also I'm ADHD. Because I've never been medicated, but I probably should have been. But this system works for ADD, ADHD, works for dyslexia, closed brain people that have got stroke or hemorrhaging. It works for a lot of those types of cases. But the one thing is, you're not trained. The difference is if somebody has a trained memory, will shorten the process of learning, the knowledge acquisition itself. Now, when you meet someone, you shake their hand, you tell them your name, and they tell you their name. It's not that you forget the name. Their name is abstract. It flows right over the top of your head. Because as I said, you're trying to rush up, and what can I say to them? What can they say to me? Anything. But concentrating on the name. But the important thing is some type of technique to help you come back to that process. Now in our workshops, we teach all 4 levels, 4 generations of mnemonics. The first one being association. That's the Dale Carnegie association. It's good, works for some people, but they tell you meet someone named Mary, how to associate something with Mary by. And you say, oh, that's great. Mary had a little lamb. You call her Mary today, 2 or 3 weeks from now you see her. 6 months from now you see her called Mrs. Lamb. And that system just didn't work for me. But as I went to this program and I saw what was happening, being a psychologist, I thought, oh my gosh, now I know what they're doing. I know why it works so well. But it's just an innate ability lying dormant in your mind. It's a matter of aligning the conscious and the subconscious mechanism so that when information comes in, it comes out the same way. Because when you can't remember someone's name, you're at the grocery store, at the restaurant, someone you may have worked with for years, 2 floors below or a floor above, and you have your family and you're shopping, all of a sudden you say, oh my gosh, Zip, what's that guy's name? I can't remember his name, saved my life. And I see Zip, but I can't remember his name. So I don't want to introduce him to my family because I can't see his name. So I kind of duck and avoid, trying to make sure Zip doesn't see him in the grocery store. And then I gather my family and I try to get him out of the store. And on the way driving off about, a mile, a little voice in the back of my mind says, hey, you want that name now? It's Zip. And it comes right back to you. Well, you can't run back to the store and hope that he's there, hoping to say, hey, I want to introduce you to my family. Its process is gone. You needed the name right then when you saw it. Okay? Now, one of the things about memory is the biggest factor is stress suppresses memory. It's the biggest thing. We get so stressed out, our mind just shuts down. In fact, your mind will say, listen, you're going to put me into stress, I'm going to leave. I'm not coming back till you take the stress off. Now, that's really kind of dramatic, but that's really what happens. Because the stress overtakes your body and you shut down. That's why when you forget about it, you start thinking about other things, it pops right back. Because here's the thing about memory. When you lay down what we call memory traces, and they go into the long-term memory, they're there. Now, you may not use them for a while, and we have something called wiring in our brain called dendrites and axons and brain cells. And if you don't use that axon or the dendrite and file those chemical responses, called potentials, it may just kind of fade out. It's still there. So if you went back and knew what you needed to remember, and you knew it at one time, just refurbished it, re-entered it in your mind, you could even stretch those dendrites even longer, where they remember even better. So you have some ability. Now, Alzheimer's is a big process today. Everybody's worried about that, and I can understand why 1 out of every 3 people is going to have some form of dementia. And that's scary. Right now, we almost have 6 million people right here in the United States. And they say by 2050, we may have 16 million. 30 million worldwide. Now, it's over $1 trillion business. But the problem is, most of you aren't going to come down with Alzheimer's. But what you have right now is what they call cognitive impairment. It's just because you don't have a trained system. Once you have a trained system, it takes care of the cognitive deficiencies that you think you're going to have or that you have, and it takes over. Because it takes a path of least resistance, and this is the system that works the best. So what I thought we'd do today is find out how well you're working for, memory working for you today. So I thought we'd do what we call a little bit of a memory test. And I really shouldn't call it a test, because lady told me the other day, test has a negative connotation. So let's call this a memory opportunity. Doesn't that sound a lot more positive? Yeah. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do, if I get somebody to help to pass out these forms, I'm going to pass out forms that hopefully have enough, not enough blanks. But when you get these, if you would, slide this little game card. There's a lot of propaganda in here, with brochures and cards and all that. You can slide that off. What we're going to use is this little game card right here. Okay? And you can fill out the top five lines if you want to. I'm not going to put you on junk mail. You're never going to have to see or hear from me again if you choose not to. But as he passes out, I'll keep on talking. As he said, we do work with a lot of Fortune 500 companies throughout the nation. We do workshops with Texas Instruments every 90 days. We work with a Six Sigma group. We teach Six Sigma and a DSEG group. So we work with AT&T. We taught them how to remember the mission statement so they could win the Michael Bars Award. We did work at Xerox. We've done like 1,700 of their employees up in Rochester, New York, because they use 6-step decision well. Everyone has to use their memory. I don't care if you dig a ditch. You have to remember the dimensions to dig. So you have to use your memory for something every day. Now, I think we've got those passed out. If anybody needs some, we've got some extra back here. But what I want to do, if you look at those top 5 lines, you'll see under the top 5 lines it says, do you remember? Then it has 15 numbers and 15 blanks. And what I'm going to do, I'll go around, I met some of you, I'm going to go around, if you would share your name. And then I'd like you to pick an item, okay? Like I might say, for example, I might say, Grover, give me item number 1. You may say a flag. You may say iced tea. You may say the sky outside. It doesn't even have to be this room. Whatever comes to your mind, I'm going to pick 15 different items and fill in the 15 different blanks. At the end of the time, I'm going to give you all some time to study. And we'll see who can remember all 15 items in the right order. Okay? Everybody understand the mission? Okay, here it goes. Let's say, Grover, we'll let you choose number 1. Give us item number 1 and say it loud enough so everybody can hear it. Anything you want to be.
Pistol.
Pistol. Everyone write pistol with blank number 1 then. Pistol.
Someone have a pen?
Oh, you know what? I don't care what I did, I have to use it, but there you go. Pistol.
Oh, yeah, he's got a whole box.
Anybody else?
Okay. Okay, David, how about item number 2?
Dog.
Dog. D-W-G, right? D-W-G. Dog. Okay, yes, ma'am. Your name is?
Andy.
Andy. Okay, how about item number 3?
Yellow.
Yellow. Okay, yellow. That's going to be easy. Yellow. Number 3. And back here, is it Brian?
Yes.
Okay, Brian, how about item number 4?
Car.
Car. Okay, that's good. Car. Number 4. Okay, Zip, how about item number 5?
Bottle.
Bottle? Okay, bottle. Bottle for number 5.
Bottle or bottom?
You said bottle, right?
Bottle.
Yeah, bottle.
New car.
Okay, good. All right, bottle. Okay, let's see. Right here, yes, ma'am, your name is?
Karen.
Karen, how about item number 6 for us?
Sleep.
Sleep. That's important. That's important. More so than you realize. Sleep. Okay, and Robert, how about item number 7 for us? Pill?
Pickle.
Pickle. Pickle, good. Pickle. Pickle for number 7. P-I-C-K-L-E. Pickle. I guess I can't spell that good. Pickle. Yes, ma'am. Your name is?
Edie.
Okay, Edie, how about item number 8 for us?
Light bulb.
Light bulb. Light bulb for number 8. Okay, yes, so your name is?
Mark.
Okay, Mark, how about item number 9? Boat. Boat. Boat for number 9. Okay, and how about item number 10 for us?
Princess.
Princess. Princess for number 10. Okay, I didn't hear your name.
Lloyd.
Lauren. Well, how about number 11 for us?
Shovel.
Shovel. Shovel. Okay, right back here. Yes, sir. Your name is?
Don.
Don. Okay, Don. How about number 12?
Cup.
Cup. Okay. Cup for number 12. And did I hear him say Jenna?
Jenna.
Okay, Jenna. How about number 13?
Coke.
Coke. Coke for number 13. Okay, now I'll give you one. Let's say table. How about table for number 14? Okay, and this is it Joshua?
Joseph.
Joseph. Okay, Joseph, how about number 15?
15 Snickers.
Snickers?
Yeah.
Snickers, like to eat candy?
Yeah.
All right, I like that too. Snickers for number 15. Okay, now here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you about 5 minutes to study, okay? Now, you can rewrite these as many times as you want to. Well, not on your hand, that's cheating. But you can rewrite them as many times as you want to on a piece of paper. And I'm going to give you 5 minutes to study. At the end of the time, I'm going to borrow someone's paper. I'll borrow Grover's paper. We'll see who can remember all 15 items in the right order. Okay, everybody understand the mission? Use whatever system you use in the past, as long as you have to put these 15 pieces of information in your mind in the right order. Okay, everybody get ready, get set, go. Okay, you have about 4.5 minutes to go. I'm not trying to, stress you out. I won't go da 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 da. I just want you to know where you are.
No wonder he wasn't concerned when you told him he had 30 minutes to do his presentation.
That's right.
I got it.
Got it?
Yeah.
All right, well, let's stop. We're going to go further. All right, Joseph, how about you got it?
Yeah,
Don't
got
feel the
it.
pressure at all. You can do this. Now, follow along with it, because I can write down, so I don't know if you tell the truth or not. But, okay, 1 would be,
Pistol,
good. 2 is,
dog, yellow,
good. 3 is,
bar,
okay.
bottle,
Bottle,
slate,
good.
pickle,
Good. Pickle.
light,
Light.
light bulb,
Light bulb, okay.
boat,
Boat, okay.
princess,
Princess.
shovel,
Shovel.
cup, Coke, and Snickers.
Okay, so a shovel is 11, right?
Missed one.
You missed
Missed
one.
one.
Which one did you miss?
14. Yours.
14. That's the one I gave you. You didn't have a chance to use the table, right?
Yeah, table, yeah.
Okay. All right, give me a hand. You did a pretty good
That's
job. Now, I didn't get a chance to see how you did that. Joseph, how did you do that? Because I saw some people writing down, cups or writing down items, pictures or whatever. But how did you do that?
I just imagined all the items in a story.
Uh-huh.
So imagine someone shooting a dog that was yellow that jumped on a car that turned it yellow. And
Okay.
then he threw a bottle out of the car and hit him in the head, so he fell asleep. Then he woke up to get a pickle because he was hungry. So he had to turn off the light, and when he turned the light back on, there was a boat with a princess. So she got out, dug a hole. She got thirsty, so she got a Coke, drank it, and then she sat it down on the table and grabbed a Snickers.
That Snickers good. Now, a lot of people do that. That's very good. Now, what some people can't do is do that. And the reason for that is...
I was trying, but I couldn't.
That's very good. But see, that's called association. The only problem that is very good, but it doesn't transfer from the short-term memory to the long-term memory. So you want to be able to go in and out of order. Go up to number 11 and then know that it's what? Snickers? Okay?
Shovel.
Shovel. Oh, somebody's catch me. Shovel. Back down to, number 1. You know that it's pistol. Or 2, know that it's a dog. Or 3, know that it's yellow. Or 4, know that it's car. Or 5, know that it's what? Bottle. Or 6, sleep. Here's the thing. When you finish with 15, I had all 15. I can give them to you forwards, backwards, in out of order, by item, by number. I used a system we teach in our workshop called mental file folders. I know you have, file cabinets. Let's say you have a file cabinet. I know you have computers. But let's say you have a file cabinet. And if you keep everything alphabetized from A to Z, if you want to access the ends of the file today, you can do that, or Zimmerman, or whatever, as long as you put the file cabinet alphabetically. But let's say you make a command decision. From this day forward, anytime someone creates a file, develops a file, or brings a file back, instead of putting it back in that file cabinet alphabetically, you say, hey, there's an empty office next to mine. Just throw it on the floor. Now, that used to be my system, if you believe that. But let's say that works for a year. After a year, you want to access the Anderson file, or the Jones file, or the Zimmerman file. The question is, are those files still there? Absolutely. It may take you on your hands for 4 days or 4 nights to find them, but they're still there. That's what's happening in your mind every day of your life. You throw things into the sea of your mind, the Grand Canyon of your mind, the floor of your mind. So when you finish number 15, you want to be able to handle it with your mental fingertips. But when you have to go back and write in 5 minutes, you had a chance to do a few things more than I did. But you had a chance to do things, you got the chance to select the items, most of them. You had a chance to see the items in your mind, you had a chance to write them down, and you had a chance to review them or hear them. All I had a chance to use the hearing, the weak part of the memory. But when you finished 15, I had 15. But what I did was I used a system called mental file folder. Let me show you how that works, okay? Let's say that this is a file folder, and it is, okay? And let's say what I have is a piece of paper, and I want to remember this piece of paper, and I put it in this file folder. Now, I put this piece of paper in this file folder, and when I leave this afternoon, I'll put it on the back seat of my car, and I turn a little bit too fast, getting back on 75, what happens to it? It falls off the back seat, and everything separates on the floorboard, right? It's all over. But let's say that I want to remember this, but I put a little glue on both sides of it. Then when I open up my file folder, put that piece of paper in my file folder, close it up. If I put it on the back seat of my car, it may fall off on the floorboard, but it's not going to separate till I want the adhesive to release. That's what we do in the workshop. We teach you to use 3 little letters. It's an acronym called FPG. F stands for file, okay? Somewhere, a mental location in your mind to store the information. 2 stands for picture. Your mind looks in pictures. I'll give you the acid test in just a minute. And the last one is G, glue. It's the bonding agent. It keeps the picture in the file long enough to transfer from the short-term memory to the long-term memory. Now, we don't have a tube up to squeeze in your ear at the workshop or a pill for you to take. But what it is 7 hours of going through all 4 generations of mnemonics, okay? And that's the glue. When you finish the workshop by the end of the 2nd night, or if you have all day Saturday, when you walk out that workshop, you can do exactly what I can do. But you can do it a little bit faster because I'm dyslexic and ADHD, so it takes me a little more time to go through things. Well, you can't talk fast like I did. I had to go through Louisiana to get that. But you can do it faster than I can. But here's the thing. File. Anything could be a file, okay? You can put it into your car, you can put it into your house. Anything could be a file. And I'm going to teach files in a minute. But the picture's the most important thing. Your mind looks at pictures. I'll give you the acid test. Do not think of an elephant. What happens?
Exactly.
In a millisecond, your mind throws up a picture of a big gray mass, floppy ears, a long trunk. Now, you don't spell it E-L-E-P-H-A-N-T. You can do that if I asked you, but that's not what happens. In a millisecond, your mind pulls up that picture. And you think, oh, I'm just going to think about that and try to put it out of your mind. But see, your mind works in pictures. So what you want to do is give your mind pictures to remember things. Maybe by telling a story. That's a chain of visualization. We do that in our workshops. We teach this is 3rd generation of mnemonics. The 1st generation, basic association, like the marriage situation. The 2nd is what we call the loci system. Okay, you put things in places and you remember in places. The 3rd generation is the storytelling. And the 4th generation is how to use this system, file, picture, glue. Because this system works better than any other form of 3 generations. Now, here's the thing. When you create these files, and you go out and you make these pictures, put those pictures in the file, and then you glue them, it comes off with another little acronym off for the G, for the glue. Another little acronym is called VIA, V-I-A. VIA or VIA, that's not by way of, okay? But our VIA stands for vivid visualization, imagination, and active action. Now, there's 2 types of actions, active or inactive, right? Mm-hmm. Active action is running, jumping, crashing, burning, spearing, anything like that. But, Passive action is like walking, sauntering, and too passive. Your mind wants fast and it wants a lot of pictures. See, you have two sides of your brain. You know that. You've heard of all the, the techniques and all of the skills of, the left hemisphere, the right hemisphere, left quadrant. But here's how your mind works. The right side of your brain works in pictures. Okay? It's like, imagine you had a big collage of pictures up on this wall. All right? And everything you've ever seen, heard, smelled, tasted, touched, or did, or read in your lifetime is up on this wall in a picture format. Now, the right side of your brain only works in pictures. That's why it's so important for you to give it pictures. Now, it can only work, though, in the right now, the here and now. It can't work in the future, or the past. It has to work in the here and now, right now. That's why we give you focusing exercises in the workshop. You learn how to focus and work with things to handle that file, that picture, and that glue. But that's the right side of your brain. So everything you've ever done is up on this wall. Every picture and every detail of the detail of the detail of the detail of that detail is on that wall. Now that's the right side of your brain, but it only works right now. Now the left side of your brain is what we think the analytical part, right? But it only works in language. That chatter, it's in your mind that says, oh Robert, don't forget to go by the grocery store and pick up those bananas because you like bananas in your cereal in the morning. It's that kind of what we think conscious is, telling us, oh, we should or shouldn't do that, right? But it only works in language. But the left side of your brain only works in the future or the past. It can't work in the here and now. So it goes over and pulls that picture down from that collage and gets all the details of the details of the details and tells you in the future what you think you can do to avoid that situation or do that kind of situation, because now it's kind of telling you, oh, I'd like to do that. Or it tells you the past, what you did with that picture when you created it. Now you have to learn how to build those pictures. That's what our workshop is. You sit at tables like this. You cannot use a pen or pencil to take notes in our workshop. If we catch you using a pen or pencil, we'll take it away from you. Now it's nice, Mark Block will give it back to you. But we have 4 guarantees that we guarantee you get the system because you do the system. It's experiential type of training. You get involved, you do the technique, okay? We just guide you through that. Now we do a lot of positive placement in your mind. Nothing illegal, harmful, it's all G-rated, okay? But we only have 7 hours to work with it. So we have to put a lot in your mind before you know it's there, and then we activate it. Now you take tests along the way. The first hour you take tests, the second hour you take tests. So you take tests along your way, and you see how your brain opens up and gives you this information and holds on to it, and you think, oh my gosh, this is the best thing since sliced bread. And believe me, that's what you'll think. You'll think, oh, I wish I had this in high school when I was young. I wish I had this when in college. That could have been magna cum laude instead of laude cum laude, okay? But the important thing is it works. It works for every individual in this world. It works for, I said, closed brain injury people, stroke, hemorrhaging, for ADD, ADHD. It works for early onset of Alzheimer's. Now, most people, when they get into deep Alzheimer's, you can't pull them out of that, okay, because it's brain cell deterioration. In fact, if we all live to be 105, we're all going to have brain cell deterioration, okay? But if you catch it on the early onset, you can stave it off, okay? The other thing is, we find out that most people, if their mother has Alzheimer's, they have a higher likelihood of having the APOG4 gene. Now, that's not 100% true, but it's becoming to be more of a statistical thing. So if your mother has it, you may get it. But if your father has it, you probably won't get it. So if you know that, and you know that you can start to stave off some of those things and slow it down, or you're prolonging, that's what you want to do. See, our bodies are living for longer periods of time. Our longevity is getting better because we're getting the right kind of food, we're getting the right kind of exercise, but our brain's not keeping up with it. We don't have the cognitive reserve that we need. That's what these systems do. So in the workshop, we go through all 4 generations of mnemonics, and we teach you how to do what we call neurobics. Neurobics is the maintenance of your brain cells. It's the thing that keeps the brain and the cognitive reserve going so strongly. It's the thing that keeps you active, okay? It keeps your mind active so they can parallel the longevity of your body. So what you need to do is learn how to do those kind of things. Now, crossword puzzles are good, doing things that you're involved with, that's very good. I don't like to talk bad about things, but these games on the computer, they tell you to do this for brain games, it's just a game. It's a one-way communication. You can't really participate as much as you want to. In fact, there was a study done by a psychologist many years ago, and he took these mice, and in one cage he put mice with wheels and things that could jump over and run and all that, and in the other cage he elevated it so they could watch the mice doing the exercise and doing the tricks. Well, they measured the mice's brain before they went in. The brain of the mice that were doing the activities, their brain began to get larger. The brains of the mice that were watching, it stayed the same. In fact, some of it deteriorated. In fact, watching TV will kill your brain. Okay? It's dead action. It won't do anything for you. But, crossword puzzles, things like that, or challenge yourself or getting involved is going to help your brain much better. Now, neurobics is what we do with that. That's called, neurobics is the exercising of the brain, so that you have the mental cognitive reserve when you need it. Now, here's the thing about your brain. It builds what we call neurotrophins, and what these neurotrophins do is they create the good side of your cognitive reserve. It creates the long-term picture. Bless you. When you go to a Alzheimer's care facility, you see that they can't remember what they ate for lunch or what they took, the pills they take in time. But if you ask them something, if they were born in 1930 and you ask them something about World War II, they can tell you just as clear in concept as you can get, because they leave those memory traces in long-term memory. Now here's the thing about sleep. You have to be able to get enough sleep. When you go to the 4 levels of sleep, you have to get to the 4th level to be able to move the information from the short-term memory to the long-term memory. Now, we're realizing now that our hippocampus really controls, it's kind of our product system or production system that operates all the other systems. So when you get down to this 4th level of sleep, that's where your brain, your hippocampus takes over and starts to place those long-term memories into the long-term space that they needed. Now, if you reinforce those, it gets even better. Because those pictures on the wall had details of the detail of the detail of the detail of that picture. And everything that went with it. If it was hot and it burned you, if it smelled good, if it smelled bad, all those pictures are still there. But it's what telling you, hey, don't do that. Yes, you can do that. I like that because, it's rewarding. I want to do more of that. So what you have to do is train your brain to do that. Now, I'm going to show you a process, okay? In our workshop, actually the 4 guarantees of the workshop is this. We give you a 300% increase in your memory. Now, you actually, the first day, the first hour, improve your memory by 1,000%. So 300% is pretty safe. But you do a test, you calculate, you see the increase. The second thing is we give you 50 mental file folders. I'm going to give you 10 in just a minute. But we give you 50 of them to be able to use for the rest of your life. I can actually use 1,000. You can give me 1,000 items like you did those 15. And when you finish number 1,000, I can go back and give you the item in and out of order by item or number. And believe me, I'm not very smart, as I said. But the other thing, I'm sorry?
You memorize 1,000 names at once?
You can do names. In fact, one of our speakers, you may have heard of him, named Ron White. He was actually in Fort Worth here, I guess about a year ago. And on the square there, he put 2,200 names with the classification of the officer, first class, or whatever. The first name, the middle name, the last name of all of the soldiers that were killed in Afghanistan. 2,200 names. So that really is 6,600 names because they had 3 names. But he did that by memory. So you can expand substantially. Okay? So 1,000 is just a number. But you can make a lot more than that. In fact, Ron, if you ask him in the Bible chapter and verse, the first 7 chapters of Proverbs, he'll tell you verbatim. Because he's loaded. But you can do that too. See, I hired him when he was actually 18 years old. He flunked out of UTA. But now he won the memory workshop, the memory Olympics up in New York in 2009 and 2010. And he didn't even know anything about this system before he came into the program. So it works for everybody.
So anybody can do this?
Anybody can do it. In fact, the guarantee is if you don't improve your memory by 300% or you don't have 50 file folders when you walk out, we teach you how to do more effective presentations and speaking. And the 4th thing is name retention. How to remember names. Not just for the day. Tomorrow I have to look at your business card, but you'll have that name from now on. Because we teach you how to create that file right in that person's face. Now, I'm going to teach you a set of files and show you how it works. Okay? The first file, now don't change the number or the names of entities. Okay? It's all built together for sequencing. In fact, this is 10 files you learn in the workshop. I want you to wiggle the toes in your shoes and say toes. That's file number 1.
Toes.
I want you to pat your knees and say knees. File number 2. Okay? I want you to draw part of your leg is called the muscle, not the thigh, and say muscle. That's file number 3. I want you to pat your rear, not just your rear, okay? And I want you to say rear. Don't call it hernia, buttock, or tush, or boot, or derriere. It's a rear, okay? But number 4 is your rear. File number 5 is your lungs, the exterior part of your lungs. Just say lungs right here. Just rub your lungs. Okay. Now, that's the middle point of these 10 files. so you know the first to 5, and you can learn the next 5 files, okay? So file number 5 is your lungs. File number 6 is rub your shoulder and say shoulder. Shoulder. File number 6 is your shoulder. File number 7 is your collar. Just grab your collar and say collar. Collar. Okay, file number 8 is your face. Just rub in front of your face and say face. Face. Okay. File number 9 is to take the point of your finger and set the point of your head. Okay? Now file number 10 is called point. File number 10 is not actually on your body.
Oh, what's 9?
9 is your point. Okay? 10 is actually going to be anywhere you are. You know, it can be the sky, it's the ceiling, whatever above your head. That's file number 10. It can be the sky if you're outside, the ceiling, whatever. But it's there with you at all times. So let's go back over the files. File number 1, toes. File number 2, knees. File number 3, muscles. File number 4, rear. File number 5, lungs. Good. File number 6, shoulder. Good. File number 7, collar. Good. File number 8, face. Good. File number 9, point. File number 10. Okay. Now I'm going to go back and give you some things to put on these files. All right. So on file number 1, your toes, I want you to put a microphone. Okay, the way you do that is you file your toe, the picture is the microphone, and the action is you could stab that microphone into your toes, you could put it between your toes, you could wrap the cord around your toes, but you put what on your toes? Microphone. That's file number 1. What's file number 2? Knees. Knee. I want you to put a clock on your knee. It could be a grandfather clock, it could be a Mickey Mouse watch, it could be a wall clock, it could be an alarm clock. I want you to put a clock on your knees. File number 2. What's on file number 1? Microphone. What's on file number 2? File number 3 is your muscles. On your muscle, I want you to put a phone. It could be an iPhone, it could be a cell phone, it could be one of those old rotary type. It could be one of those antique phones you didn't have to crank and talk into. I want you to put a phone on your muscle. All right? What's on your toes? On your knee? Okay, on your muscle. On file number 4 right here, I want you to put a goal post. You know, a football goal post. And it could be the old H type, the 2 pipe come out of the ground and go into an 8. Or it could be the new type, it goes out and 1 pipe goes into a Y. And I want you to see you kicking that football through that goal post. And you put it right here on your rear for a lot of action. Okay, you come up pretty, creative in that situation, okay? On your rear. Okay, file number 5 is your lungs right here. All right? I want you to put on your lungs, I want you to put a reward, and let's make it a reward for kicking the best field goals. All right? But while you're putting this reward, or you can do what? Let's make it a wanted sign. One dead or alive. You know those reward signs? And this is going to have your face in it. Okay? For whatever amount of money you're worth. Okay, you think you're worth. And then I want you to put it on with a special technique with incense. You know, like those hippies used to burn in the canoe trays? Am I too old for you know what I'm talking about? Okay. So on your lungs right here, I want you to put a reward sign with your face on it, put on with incense. So that's what you remember on your lungs. What? Reward sign? What? Your face put on with incense. Okay, file number 5. What's on number 1? Microphone. File number 2. File number 3. File number 4. File number 5. Okay. File number 6 right here, I want you to put a mobile home. It could be a double wide, it could be a single wide, it could be a Winnebago. Oh, it could be any kind of mobile home you want, all right? But you're going to put it right in your arm, okay? It could be one of those FEMA trailers, okay? You do those? Okay. All right, file number 5, on number 6, we're going to put a mobile home. What's file number 7? Collar. Okay, on your collar right here, I want you to put a lot of money. You could $1 million in $100 bills, wrap it around your collar, staple it to your collar, okay? The operative word here is money. You put money on your collar, all right? What's file number 7, 8?
Face.
Your face. On your face, I want you to take, and I want you to put a Bible. All right? You can open up the Bible, just stretch it, and put it right on your face. So what do you put on your face? A what? Bible. What's file number 9?
Point.
Okay. On file number 9, I want you to put a 1-bedroom efficiency apartment. Now, that's not too hard. A 1-bedroom efficiency apartment, you can build it right up here on your point. 1-bedroom efficiency apartment on file number 9. What's file number 10? Ceiling. Okay, on the ceiling, I want you to put a brain, a human brain. And it's kind of gross, but you can throw it up at that vent right there, or either that light and shock, with that formaldehyde dripping all over there in front of Lloyd's your plate. The key thing is you put a brain on the ceiling. I'm trying to gross you out, okay? Let's go back. What do you put on your toes? Microphone. On your knee. Clock. On your muscle. On your rear. On your lungs.
Reward.
Okay, on your shoulders. On your collar.
Bible.
Yes. On 9, 8, not yet?
Bible.
9.
Bible.
And 8 is what? Bible. File number 9, you point. And number 10, you put a brain. Now, let's say that President Trump came into Dallas. How much time we looking at here? We got some time?
Good.
Okay.
We've got 2 minutes.
Okay, I'm going to do it. Okay.
We're having so much fun.
Donald Trump comes in and he says, David, he said, I'm going to come back through, here in a month or so, and I'm going to invite every government employee that works in the state of Texas into the Cowboy Stadium. And I want you to lead a brainstorming session. What would you say? You said, yes, sir, Mr. President, I'll be glad to. So he goes off and he comes from Washington and comes back in a month. And he gets up behind the podium and he says, I've asked a young man here to lead a brainstorming session. Are you here, David? And David way back in the crowd. And he raises his hand and says, okay. He said, David, come on up here. He's going to lead a brainstorming session. You all have some excellent ideas. Come on up. And while he's waiting to come up, the Secret Service getting over by him saying, okay, now, he looks normal. Everything seems to be okay. But when David walks up, he doesn't just, take the microphone from the president. He jerks that microphone away from the president, and all the Secret Service boys getting on their guns, and then he realizes, okay, But you know what? He doesn't get behind the podium. He doesn't need a slide system. He doesn't need, carousel slides. He's going to do it from his fingertips, mental files in his fingertips. He says, when President Trump asked me to lead the brainstorming session, one thing that I knew was that I'm going to have a talk in a microphone. So I started to train myself on how to use that microphone. And you know what? This crowd is awful big. It's thousands of people. I have to use a microphone. But he said if I didn't, I could just talk to you without anything. But he said I wouldn't have to get crutches and get behind the podium and follow an outline, or a note card. He said I could do it without that. But he said, let's talk about some brainstorming stuff here. He says, the next thing I want to talk about is, you all have the same amount of time to get your job done in a day's time. Some of you get more done than the others. Let's talk about time management. Let's talk about how you use your time. He looks right down and he looks at that clock right under his knee. He talks about time management. He says, every one of you have to talk to each other. You have to talk to your constituencies. You have to talk to Washington. Let's talk about your communication effort. Let's talk about, how you project yourself through communication. Let's talk about your effort on communication. He just pulls that phone right up for that muscle. He says, I know that, President Trump's, the White House always sets goals for us. But let's talk about setting our own goals. Let's talk about some goal planning. What's the first? What's the second and the third? Let's talk about some goal planning. You pull that goal post right off of his rear end, and there it is. He talks about goal planning. He says, I know some of you have been here 20 years. You'd like to have more reward and incentive programs. Let's talk about how to get more money. If you make more money, we can do more things in Texas. Let's talk about some money-making propositions. He pulls that reward and incentive program right off the reward, reward sign with his face put on with incentive, incense. So he talks about reward and incentive. And he says, I know that one thing that you have to do, some of you are at the 4th level of your career, but you can go to 5 or 6. Let's talk about some upward mobility. Let's talk about how to climb the career. Let's talk about your upward mobility. He pulls that mobile home right off his shoulders. He talks about upward mobility. He says, one thing you like to make more of is more money. If you can make more money, you can do more things, right? And he pulls that money right off of his collar. He says, the one thing we have to do every morning is read our Bible, because we've got to get it a good start, right? So let's talk about how to pray, how to read our scriptures. He looks right at that Bible on his face. He says, the one thing that I really want to do, though, is tell you, how can you be more effective in your business? How can you be more effective in your job? Let's talk about your efficiency level. He looks right there, 9,000 square foot efficiency apartment, 1 bedroom that you built, right? And then he says, of all that, we're going to have to work smarter in the year 2018, not harder. Let's talk about our brain power. Let's talk about how to train people. Now, he didn't have to use one crutch or one outline or anything else. President Trump gets up and said, that young man was so good, he didn't even use notes. Bull. He had mega notes hanging all the way around his body, but he was the only one that could see them. You see how important that is? You know what the number 1 fear in America is today, folks?
Public speaking.
Public speaking. You know what the number 6 fear is? Death. If I got to talk to you, shoot me. That's the way people feel. But you can have the information. You don't have to use prompters. God love him, Obama started that. He had a budget for his prompters. You don't have to use prompters. And Trump's using them too. Those are crutches. Those are things you have to fall back on. What if those projectors? What if those prompters aren't working? and all your notes are on there, and you didn't write anything down, you're in trouble. Unless you put them on your file cabinet right here. So that's body files. You can use it for anything. I could use it for those 10 items. This is easy. You got the item, Joseph. What's number 1?
Microphone.
Yeah, what's number, no, okay, but what on the 10 items you selected on, what's number 1? Pistol. What's on number 2? And what's number 3?
Yellow.
You can make your muscle yellow, right? What's number 4? Okay. What's file number 5?
Bottle.
Bottle. What's file number 6?
Sleep.
What's file number 7?
Pickle.
Pickle. File number 8?
Light bulb.
Light bulb. File number 9? Boat. What's number 10?
Princess.
Princess. See, you can put those pictures as easily as you did those other 10. You can use your mind at the most efficient way, in the most efficient level, if you use it your normal way. When you align the conscious and subconscious learning mechanism, you will not stop learning. And that's what you have to do today, is you have to improve your memory every day of your life. And it gives you that cognitive reserve so that it doesn't fail the longevity like your physical does. Now I know we've got limited time here, so I'll be here if you have any questions. I know you're going to do some more business.
First of all,
Oh, thank you. My head's big enough as it is.
Do you have any questions?
What do you do with names?
We got about 12 minutes.
Okay, we're good.
What about?
If you walk up, like, wherever I'm at church, I'll meet 10 people all at once. Can't remember all 10 names, what's around.
Well, see, I will see Brian. I will see Don. You know, I will see Zip. Well, I will see more. You know, or Robert. When I do, I want to say hello using your name, not because I met you, you know, here, but because I remember you for who you are. Because you know, when I see Randall, I say, hey, how you doing? And then I might say, you know, oh, how's that networking group going? And then you pull that information. So you can do it with names. It doesn't matter. I can walk to a room. In fact, in the workshop, sometimes we'll have 200 people. By the end of the first day, I have all 200 people, first to last name, and I call them, they'll stand up. But you can do that too. I'm not very smart, believe me.
If you meet all 200 all at once, you can remember their names without writing it down.
As it goes through, yeah. If they come through the door and you introduce yourself, yeah. You have to write it down.
What do you do, though?
We have pictures already built for the names. We have a whole program there in your workbook. You get a workbook with it as well.
So if it's a name that you don't have a picture for, what do you do then?
You just file it. Then you create the picture. And your mind is vivid. It creates things very easily. I mean, you put a pretty good little, you know, story together for those 15 things.
Yeah, but whenever they introduce 10 people, like one after the other, I don't have time to think of a picture because they've already said the other person's name and that's after
Right.
them.
Because your mind is not trained. But if you do this, you train your mind every day of your life. In the workshop, we teach you all these techniques, obviously, for 7 hours. But we also give you a workshop handbook when you go out. It's a 7-day or 21-day process on how to improve your memory to a high level. And once you finish that 21st day, you got it. Even, like I said, faster than I can, because my dyslexia and ADHD slows me down. But you'll have it. Yeah. Believe me, if it didn't work for me, it can work for anybody. That's all I can say, okay? Any more questions? Yes? Oh, I thought you raised your hand. Any questions? Now, I'll tell you this. We do a workshop here in Dallas every 90 days, all right? In fact, if you look at a big sheet of paper, the next one coming up is April 24th and 25th, and that's a Tuesday, Wednesday. We teach from 6 to 9:30 over at the Crown Plaza at 14315 Midway Road. Okay? Yes, sir.
At the top of that page, it comments that you do these on Saturdays from 8:30 to 5:30. Unfortunately, in the next 2 years, there are no Saturdays.
Yeah. We did all Saturdays last year and then changed it to 2 days because a lot of people said it just takes up too much on a Saturday. I got things I want to do. You know, my career, I'm not showing houses. I can't do it. That's why I'm doing it. So we're going back to 2 nights now. We do still do some Saturdays, but that schedule has already, these are the ones that I teach. We have other schedules. Any other questions?
Harold, from my new friend Harold, from my favorite city in Oklahoma, Mangum.
Mangum,
We're glad you're
that's
here.
my grandfather's brother.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
In fact, Magnum Road was used to named after my grandfather. He had the irrigation system for all the rice farmers. He ran the governor back then. They're all good friends. But yeah. But now the way you remember that is, over here you put hair that's old, old gray hair. Hair that's old, Harold. And over here you have a man chewing gum. And it's hair, old man chewing gum. It's hairy old man chewing gum. And he chews it because all messed up with that hair. And it's, you know always remember my name is Harold Mangum. You'll never forget that.
Well, great.
Thank you
Harold.
very much.
I appreciate it. We're looking forward to any questions you have. If you have any questions or specifically want to talk about the workshop or whatever, get with Harold afterwards. A couple of housekeeping or other items just to
We
make
did
sure.
forget
We did forget the dollar, so.
We didn't, you did.
I did, I did.
Speaking of memory, we forgot money. That's here, right? That's the collar, right?
I forgot my
Lots of
collar.
money in the collar, so
Oh, yeah.
put the money in my collar, no. But great job again, thank you very much, it was awesome. We have a speaker coming next week, and I don't remember what it is, to be honest with you, but it's on the calendar. That's one of the reasons why I put it on the calendar. So I may have to go to the workshop so I can remember these things off the top of my head. I'm still dealing with a little bit of jet lag. But anyway, appreciate everybody being here. Again, if you can move your dollars towards the end of the tables or whatever, and Grover, can you snag the money for me?
I'll snag the money.
And we have a meeting next Wednesday. For those that just come on Fridays, I encourage you to mix it up a little bit. And this is now March, so we're getting, I think in the next 30 days, we'll probably be doing another mixer. So if anybody has a location suggestion, somebody that they know where we'd like to go next for our evening mixer, see me and let me know what that looks like. Or we'll follow up on that, try to move it, spread it around as well as support local businesses in Plano and Richardson. So, any other questions? Any other items? I think we are at.
You got
6
8
minutes.
minutes, man.
You got 6 minutes.
7 minutes. You're
Yeah.
good.
Anyway.
Tell us about your trip.
Yeah. No, it was great. One of the things that for those who don't know, I'll give a little commercial for Lisa actually. I signed up for World Ventures, and I'm actually part of her team, but I haven't done anything as far as promoting it or whatever, because I wanted to take my own. It's kind of the way I do things. I vet things, I connect the dots, and so I was looking. So this was all a World Ventures dream trip that I did after I shopped a bunch of options and did that. It was awesome. So it was a very, very good experience, good value and all that. So Lisa's not here, but